Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. We have finally made it to the end of July out here in the garden. Nutmeg is busy watching bees right beside me. There is so much happening out here and I'm very surprised we have had an uncharacteristically cool summer. We've had 2 days in the triple digits, a lot of days in the 80s for July. That just seems wrong in Texas. So the garden is doing well and on some fronts, not well on others, but we are rolling with it. We are learning, we are growing, and there's just a lot to show off. So we're gonna go on our July garden tour. There's not too much to discuss about the fruit trees and the bay leaf tree. So I'm going to move past them very quickly and head over to the garden where Nutmeg is looking for bugs, I guess. These are 2 pepper beds that I have planted. If you remember over the winter, they were full of onions. Those are long gone now. The peppers are doing better than I expected for this year. I have some sweet bananas in here. I think they're one of the only things producing at the moment. These peppers all got a very late start because I brought them back with me from Pennsylvania. So I did get 2 sriracha peppers off of this one, though I did also plant this orange milkweed very close to it. So it might be competing for resources right now. I might just have to put a little bit of extra fertilizer over there, but the other plants look nice and green and healthy. I do have a cabbage that is somehow alive right now. I should probably just rip it out of the ground because I'm sure it's full of aphids, but it's growing. Next to it, I have the shishitos. They gave me a lot at the beginning of July, and now I have a few more that are growing. They're just a little small right now. I'm not quite sure why. The ones at the beginning of the month, we were much bigger. These are just very small, and I don't understand quite why they are so small at the moment, but I have not had a lot of success growing peppers in this bed particularly, so I am going to switch things up next year and put something different in here. I've decided, just because I've had 2 years in a row of suboptimal growth in this bed, I think it's time for a change. But moving on to my pepper bed that is doing much better. I have quite a lot of variety in here. Things are growing really well. I've harvested quite a few Tabascos already from this tiny plant. The chives are scaping, and if you've ever had garlic scapes, these taste similar, but you get them for longer and you get more of them than you would on the garlic scapes. So I'm enjoying eating those. I have had a few cubanellas already. There's one growing here. This year's lemon drop pepper is doing well. I think they're gonna start turning colors soon. I haven't harvested any yet, but there's quite a lot of peppers on this plant. My next generation of leeks is growing here. I harvested all of the ones that I had that were bigger. My aji rico pepper is a bit of a mess, I will admit. I have been harvesting quite a bit from it. This one actually looks ready. It's very mild. It's not as hot as I thought it would be, but it never had one central stem that was growing. So now it's just a trailing plant, which is fine. I am here for it. I also have my overwintered Mucho Nacho jalapeno that is doing so well. I am so happy I have this plant and that it survived the winter. I am completely loaded with jalapenos all over the place. I mean, this entire branch is jalapenos. So I will be overwintering this plant again, as well as saving seeds, because it's just doing so well in my care. I cannot get over the sheer amount of jalapenos on this plant. The one next to it, not doing as well. Don't know why. They are grown in the exact same conditions, but this one's just not performing the same. I have been getting a lot of the candy cane bell peppers, though some of them are falling off when they're small. I'm still eating them, but I have been getting a few that ripen as well. The ones on these 2 plants over here are getting bigger than the ones on the first plant that I was showing off. So they're getting a decent size. They're never going to be the same size as those giant bell peppers, but they are a bell. So those are all doing really well. Really happy with this raised bed. The cayennes are also doing great. I finally have peppers growing on my overwintered slim cayenne. I just really like the look of the skinny cayennes on that one. I have lots of marigolds. Again, they were all volunteer. Lots of regular degular cayennes growing. Some of them are bigger than others, and this bed is just looking like it did last year, but better, if that makes sense. Moving on, unfortunately my blackberries are done for the year, so it's just foliage growth for now. We are keeping them pretty tame in this makeshift trellis that my husband put together, but they're still starting to grow over our fence, so we're gonna have to figure out something to do with them. I have milkweed growing in here as well, so it's just happy in here. I don't think I can get away with planting anything else in this bed anymore. Last winter I had some bok choy and things in here, but this is completely taken over, and it was 3 small little blackberry plants, but I'm okay with it. This is space well used. My herb garden is just chugging along. I do have fennel seeds that are just about ready to harvest, I think. The sage has finally stopped blooming. The oregano has pretty much stopped blooming, so I do need to chop all these blooms back because there's lots of beautiful new growth in the middle, and that's what I care about. The thyme is done blooming as well. The parsley is still hanging on for now, though it looks like a shell of its former self. And there are little borage plants that are sprouting because those plants go to seed like crazy. This was what the borage was. They don't love the heat too much, but they produce seeds like nobody else. So that will fill out very nicely soon. The other herb bed, the lemongrass, is doing great. That oregano is still blooming. These died back from the heat, but they're sprouting again. So I'm gonna see what happens with the artichokes. I don't have a lot of faith in them. They're really starting to make me sad because I have yet to harvest a single artichoke, but my one black sesame plant is doing really well. I'm hoping to get some sesames out of it soon. It's looking really good, really healthy, and I have kept it well watered, so I'm thinking probably mid to late August I'll be getting my first sesame seeds from it. Behind it is the asparagus bed. I'm not getting really much in the way of asparagus right now. I mean, there are some that are coming up, but this late in the season, I just let them go. Next year, I should have a really big harvest. I have the smaller plants that I bought in the past year that are doing well in here. Also, Swiss chard, I actually ate some last night. It's really good. I've been eating the newer leaves since the old ones are pretty damaged, and I just really like the tender, small leaves. Basil is doing great. I'm at the point in the season where I need to pinch off all of the blooms all of the time. Unfortunately, with the dill, I have not been the best at that, but there's also, if it'll focus, there's little swallowtail caterpillars on the dill. So I've been trying to be more careful, and dill seed, like what's forming here, is a spice that you can use. So I think I'm at the point where I'll just let that go. Next to it, I have my strawberry bed, which really took a hit when I went away for a week. Unfortunately, it didn't get as much water from the sprinklers as I thought, so the plants died back quite a bit, and I lost my beautiful tricolor sage. I will be replacing that just because it was so pretty, and I'm gonna evaluate what I should do with these strawberries from now on, and these kale. Should I leave the kale here, move the strawberries? Not quite sure which one I want to put in a different bed yet, but those are decisions I will be making by the fall, hopefully. And then to round out the back of my garden, the tomatillos are insane. I think in all of last year, mine never got this big and beautiful. So I guess this is the tomatillo spot now. I planted less plants than last year, and it just looks bigger. I have tomatillos everywhere. I have already harvested a few. These are still kind of small. You want them to be breaking the paper shell on the outside with how big they are. That one's growing a little bit. So yeah, when they're ready, they'll split open and fill up that shell, but it's just loaded with them, as you can see. And the bees love it. They absolutely love tomatillos. So this is just a good plant to have all around. there's not too much to say about the carrot bed. I'm still kind of weeding out the ones that are flowering. The corn, unfortunately, it's too hot for it, so it never did much of anything. I think I'll have to plant that in here probably late August. We should still have time. It's just carrots in here, really. And unfortunately, my tomatoes have not been doing their best this year. The harvests have picked up because we've had a cooler summer than I expected, but because the tornadoes snapped my 3 big ones in half, they've just grown so strangely. And I mean, they're still producing. They just don't look good. I'm not very proud of this, but this is just realistic gardening for you. It's kind of a disaster. So hopefully next year my tomatoes will be better. That's all I'm gonna say about that. The bees have been loving my Thai basil though. I'm growing this for the first time and the bees are just having a great time. Sweet potatoes, doing great. I think I'm gonna have an even bigger harvest than last year just based off of the growth that I'm seeing compared to last year. So that's gonna be exciting. Look out for that in November. Over here is my large tomatoes. They're just trying their best. I got these in the ground super late, but luckily it has been a cooler summer. So I'm hoping to at least get something. I had flowers on this one, but I mean, that could be a flower soon, but I just don't. Oh, there's flowers over here. So there's still hope yet to actually get tomatoes out of these, but at least the basils. The basil's always doing well because it's Texas. Basil loves Texas weather. Over here, this had zucchini in it. There's the last one doing absolutely terribly. It just didn't like it when we left for a week. The rosemary has taken over this entire bed, and I have some random brassica here. Not really sure what it is, but I'm just letting it grow out for now, as well as a marigold. I'm debating what to plant in here next. I'm thinking soybeans or corn in August. So we'll see. We'll see what actually ends up going in here because this rosemary does provide some nice shade from the worst of the heat. So I'm thinking soybeans along here would do pretty well, but we'll see. I also have some little volunteer basil from last year, but that's pretty much it for this one. Now for, I think, some of the most exciting garden beds that I have. This is my watermelon bed, and I'm growing 5 different types of watermelon in here, and some of them I won't know what the color is until I harvest them. This one I do know is orange just because I grew it last year. This is either going to be red or yellow, the dark ones, and I do believe these are my crimson sweet. I have only harvested 2 watermelons so far because they need a lot of time to get ready. This one has been growing for 2 months now, so they take a while, but that's why I just wanted to load up this bed with as many plants as I could this year and just hope for the best. And I have been getting quite a bit of watermelon, so I'm very happy about it. I also am growing some tomatoes for the first time on this trellis, and for this white currant tomato from Baker Creek Seeds, it's been doing really well. I've been harvesting so much. I did harvest just this morning, but they're cute little yellow cherry tomatoes. They really don't get that big, but this plant has been so happy. Unfortunately, some of the others I planted a little too late, so they have been pretty small and they've been drowned out quite a bit by these vincas and the watermelon plants. Here's another watermelon, by the way. So everything's been doing very well. The vinca are gorgeous, all volunteer. I did not plant a single one of these, and I just love vinca so much. Even though the bees don't love them as much as I think they should, I love them. So they're doing great, not really super mad about it. I'm liking actually having tomatoes growing up this trellis because I can just weave them in and out however I want, and they can grow kind of crazy. So this was sort of an experiment with that this year. I think next year I'm gonna plant more here. I'm gonna plant them early, maybe not have the watermelon competition, but something else back there. Maybe just give the watermelon its own raised bed somewhere. And I think it's gonna do well. I'm definitely going to be growing the white currant again because that's just been a really nice tomato to grow. Next to it is my cucumbers. Now I did harvest them recently, but I've got one here that looks really good. Oh, there's quite a few along the back right now that are growing very well. Another basil. it's just doing great because it's basil. Some more vincas. I did buy that one, and I bought this ruffled vinca this year because I couldn't get over the look of it. It's just so pretty. So that is new. I hope it goes to seed, and then I have more of them in my garden. I have fennel seeds that I need to collect because I let my last fennel go to seed. And then the corn, I actually just yesterday ripped all of this up, and I'm thinking, again, I'm debating whether putting corn or soybeans here or there. So some planning, I guess, for the fall garden is going to be going on. This corn is alive-ish, so I'm just gonna see if it stays alive. And then I have an itty bitty baby eggplant right there, just hoping that it grows. I do have another eggplant I started from seed, so maybe I'll plant that in here as well. But that's for that bed. We've got 2 left. These are my favorite. You would have seen me grow these last year if you were here on the channel, but I love noodle beans so much. Now these are a little overripe, so I'm going to be saving these for seed. You can also eat them as drying beans. I have green ones, and then this year I also started red ones. I love the color. They're just so nice. I mean, look at that. That is perfect. They have been doing so well. These are heat tolerant plants, so even if we were having a crazy hot summer, these are the plant to have in Texas. Unfortunately, they have been hit by aphids this year, which I did not have last year. And it's been really annoying for me. I mean, I can just wash them off, but they've been super annoying. There's one. I wash them off every day, but I don't really know how else to deal with them. I wasn't expecting them because I didn't have them last year, but it's just something that I'm dealing with in the garden. Either way, I really love the look of these. They're so easy to grow. They do get overripe very quickly. You want to eat them when they're maybe around this size. That is the ideal thickness as a green bean. And then, like I said, you can either save the seeds with these or eat them as a drying bean. So they're really nice, really versatile, super easy to grow. Parsnips, honestly, they're all ready. I just don't know what to do with them right now. So I have a lot of parsnips. Scallions have been great. I just ate one of these. They're so big. I've never grown scallions this big in my life. They're doing great. A bunch of volunteer basil in this bed, which is strange to me because I did not grow a single basil plant on this side of the garden at all. Like, they were all over there. So these seeds traveled very far. I still have a couple beets in here, as well as a determinate tomato. And then finally over here, I still have savory. I'm just letting it go for the bees right now. Kohlrabi, and I had some soybeans in here, but they got a little overripe when we left, so I'll probably be saving those for seeds to plant in the fall when it's slightly cooler. Before I go, I have a couple interesting things going on in the compost area. I know it doesn't look like much, but I have pepper plants growing out of here, as well as tomatoes back here. These, I think I want to have my husband stake up since they're starting to fall over. But most interestingly, there is something growing back there, and I think it's an avocado. So I know they can't, or at least I think they can't survive the winters here. So I think I might pull that up and try to grow it. If you have any tips on avocado trees, let me know. I don't think I'll get an avocado while I live here, but it's just something fun to try to grow, you know. Maybe I can take it with me to our next location when the military moves us, but I just thought that was something fun to know. There's not much going on over by the seedling table. I do have new growth with my blueberries, and my African basil is doing well. A little wilted from the heat right now, but it'll be okay. And instead of seedlings, which I need to get started on some more leeks and some fall seeds, but I've got a happy nutmeg. He loves hanging out in here. He loves the wood. He uses it as a scratching post, and he loves the shade cloth because he can be out here in the middle of the day, just loving life, being a good boy. It might not be as hot as it was last year, but it is still hot out here. So that's going to be it for us today. What did you think about the July garden? I feel like it's coming along really nicely for the season. There are some projects that I have to do out here, but I'm really happy to have peppers that are producing and cucumbers at this time of year. I just didn't have that last year because it was so hot. So Even though some things like the corn and zucchini died, I am very grateful for what I have in the garden right now. But if you like this video, make sure to give Nutmeg and I here a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here on the channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.